Welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2013. Some news on the headlines. The North Koreans are sending a high-level emissary to Beijing, presumably to repair the damage that's been done between those two erstwhile allies. Most recently, the North Koreans seized a Chinese fishing vessel of all things and held the crew hostage for 3 days. Nothing happens in North Korea economically without the permission and assistance of China. Presumably Kim Jong-un has begun to recognize that. The Syrian rebels seem to be losing the military battle now to President Assad because he's been joined by the group Hezbollah, which is based in Lebanon. Meanwhile, President Obama will meet with the Chinese President Xi on a visit that the President of China is making to California. That meeting will occur in California in about 2 weeks' time. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, in the suburb of Oklahoma City called Moore, the search for remaining survivors apparently has ended. They are confident there is nobody left alive under the rubble. Yesterday, they pulled about 101 people out from underneath the debris. The death toll looks as if it will stand at 24. That includes 9 children who were among those confirmed dead who were in a school. Scientists now say that the tornado was an EF5 on the Fujita scale. That's the most powerful type capable of lifting reinforced buildings off the ground, hurling cars like missiles, and stripping trees completely free of bark. The amount of energy released by the tornado dwarfed the power of the atomic bomb that leveled Hiroshima. The insurance costs are beginning to come in. The big modeling company Applied Insurance Research says that it could cost between $2 billion and $6 billion to replace properties within a 2-mile zone of the tornado's path as it went through Moore. It looks also as if State Farm is going to be the one biggest hit. They have a 27.29% market share in Oklahoma. Farmers Insurance, Travelers, and Liberty will also be in line for claims. And in the United States as well, in Daytona Beach, the big American broker Brown & Brown made an acquisition last night. They purchased Georgia-based broker Beecher Carlson for about $336 million. Back in the Middle East, the Israelis are warning the Syrians in no uncertain terms that if there's any more repetition of yesterday's actions, in which the Syrians fired 3 times on Israeli troops patrolling the Golan Heights border, the Israelis are prepared to take very serious and immediate steps to retaliate against Assad's military. The Israelis sustained the explosion and destruction of a jeep that was hit by Syrian mortars. The Israelis promptly responded supposedly with pinpoint missile attacks. Meanwhile, in a Swedish suburb of Stockholm, for the second night in a row, rioting has occurred. 200 people hurled rocks at police and set about 24 cars ablaze. This is all being triggered by a fatal police shooting of a man supposedly wielding a knife. The person who was killed on May 13th was a 69-year-old man who had locked himself into an apartment in a suburb west of Stockholm. He didn't present any immediate threat. About 80% of the residents in this suburb are in fact first or second generation immigrants. Many local residents see the shooting as an example of police brutality, and the violence has stirred a great debate in Sweden, which has been inundated by refugees coming from Afghanistan and other places, mainly because of its open door policy. It's one of the only countries in Europe that is actually accepting residents. There was a relatively small meteor that hit the moon 2 weeks ago. The meteor was only 1 foot in diameter, and it crashed into the moon at about 56,000 miles per hour. It created a crater about 65 feet wide and was equivalent to about 5 tons of dynamite going off. According to scientists, the crash caused the biggest and brightest explosion they have seen since they started monitoring lunar meteorite strikes in 2005. Why is this important? Well, it's not particularly yet, but the moon doesn't have an atmosphere. So if there's ever any manned space exploration or colony planned up there, it has to be aware of the fact that they're going to be a fertile target for not only meteor and meteorite strikes, but also small little slivers that can do considerable damage to spacesuits. Similar meteorites come and hit the Earth, but burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. The moon does not have an atmosphere. And if you're thinking that Mars is going to be any better, not quite. The Martian atmosphere is only 1% as thick as that of Earth. So while it may do a little bit of burning up of incoming meteorites, it's not going to help too much. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.